Now, you might have clicked on this review going, I don't even know what this car is. And it's because this is a Cupra Formentor, which is an SUV from the brand Cupra, which is a spin-off of the brand Seat, which is owned by Volkswagen. So it's a little bit confusing to understand where Cupra comes from, but now you sort of do. And I've got this base model here, and I want to explain why I really do think this is one of the most slept on cars in the world. To get into a Cupra Formentor, the least amount of money you can pay is $54,990 drive away for this model here. This is the Cupra Formentor V, so it is going to be the least expensive and least powerful Cupra Formentor you can buy. Now, if you want metallic paint on a Cupra Formentor, it's going to cost you $475 extra. And I do like the fact you get LED lights, you get these fog lights built in here, you get contrasting elements up on the grille, and of course you get Cupra's iconic bronze badging. So this car has a theme of bronze highlights that go and complement this color. So you get 18-inch wheels wrapped in a Continental rubber, and they look quite nice. You get contrasting wing mirrors here, which are also heated. You get roof rails, you get black accenting around your window trim, and you have keyless locking and unlocking, which is pretty useful as well. And it's worth noting, it's not that button one, it's a touch sensitive one, so it does feel a little bit more premium. And so something you should know is that the Cupra Formentor is all-wheel drive as standard, which is pretty useful. At the back, you're getting this roof spoiler here. You get this sort of squished rear window, but it does have a rear wiper. I love the giant light bar that runs across the back, and you also do get sequential indicators, which feels very premium. And you've also got a Cupra badge with Cupra spelt out across the back, and you do have a manual tailgate, and it's not automatic here on this entry-level Formentor. But what does annoy me is that this has fake exhaust pipes. They are very fake with the real ones tucked underneath, which is just something that irks me on this entry-level model. I wish we just didn't have any of that down below. So here's what a base model Cupra engine looks like. It's a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged motor pushing 140 kilowatts, which is under 200 horsepower, and 320 newton-meters of torque. It's paired up to a 7-speed dual clutch automatic gearbox, and it'll go 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 7.1 seconds. And now if you're really wanting more power, this is just between you and me, it's very easy to tune this engine because it's the 2-litre Volkswagen motor, so you'll be all good if you want to get more power out of this thing reliably. Now, the Cupra Formentor has an okay amount of boot space. It has 420 litres back here. You do get a spare tyre underneath the floor here, which is pretty useful, and a little bit more storage there. You have some storage pockets on either side, and the seats do fold in a 60-40 split, and you can usefully fold them down using these tabs here at the back, which is very nice. You get a hard cargo cover, but what is cool is that it has a ski pass-through through the middle seat. So if you want to keep all the seats up and put long items through the middle, you can do that. As you can see, the rear seats of the Formentor are a little tight, but they're not too bad. You do get a nice center armrest here with some cup holders, and you can access the boot through the second row, which is very useful. You have a big glass roof, which will cost you a bit extra to put this on, and you also do have your own climate controls in the back to control your own temperature, which is a major plus point. You get 2 USB Type-C ports, you get some map pockets, you get some storage here in the doors, and you get bronze stitching here in the back. Your windows go down most of the way, and then you do have some little coat hooks here in the back. You get your own reading lights and everything you sort of need like that. And I do like these partial leather material and cloth seats. They do look quite nice, and they don't feel like a base model seat by any means. But what is a bit annoying is that this car doesn't come standard with floor mats. So the floor mat-less look does look a little bit cheap. And also some of the trim here is just sort of bulging out a little bit, which wouldn't be something I would be too happy with if I had just bought this car. And then finally, up front, we're getting a 10.25-inch gauge cluster. We're getting a 12-inch screen here. We get LED lights that run across the top of the dashboard here, which look really quite cool, and you can customize the color of that. You get bronze stitching up on the dashboard, plenty of soft materials. The build quality here is very nice and solid. Feels very much like a Volkswagen Group product. The screen here is very useful to use. It's bright, it's big, it's angled towards you, the driver. Some little annoying things is that you don't have any backlit buttons for your climate controls or your volume controls at night, which can be a little bit annoying. And then you do have all your controls for your climate controls and all that tucked in through the screen, which some people might be a little annoyed by because there's no hard buttons at all for this screen. It's every function for the car is in there. Now you do have 2 USB Type-C ports. You get a wireless phone charger, you get a push button start, which pulses red to let you know it's ready to go. You get a little toggle shifter here, and you do get some controls for your electric handbrake right here, and some little storage pockets on either side. Cup holders, a moderate amount of storage here in the center armrest, and you do get this really nice steering wheel, and I love the bronze accenting on it as well, and it's also heated as standard. You get these nice little shifter paddles here which do have little extensions, and they do have little backlights for the plus and minus signs, which is really quite nice. You get this brushed metal look here on the dashboard as well. And these bucket seats I'm sitting in do have that same material we found in the back seats, and they are pretty comfortable, but they are manually adjusted, which for the price tag some people might find a little bit annoying, but to be honest, I'm not really that bothered by it because you get plenty of other standard equipment. And your steering wheel is telescopically adjustable, which is very nice. It's easy to get comfortable in here, and I also like the fact that the gauge cluster is very customizable as well. So to be honest, for the money, I think this is one of the best looking interiors you can get. But now we have a giant turbo boost gauge here in the gauge cluster, so let's see how much power we can squeeze out from this 2-litre base model 4-cylinder turbo motor. Now, it's appropriate that we have an all-wheel drive car because it is all-wheel drive weather. Now, I've driven the Cupra Leon V, which uses the same motor, but that's a little hatchback, where this is a SUV of sorts. So it's going to be pretty exciting to see how this thing performs through some twisty sections of road. So I'm going to jump us into sport mode. So we have a couple of different drive profiles here. We have comfort, sport, and individual. Now, the biggest things here, yes, you do get improved throttle response and gearbox response and a heavier steering feel and all that sort of stuff that you'd expect from a standard sport mode. But you do have adaptive dampers here, so that is pretty good because adaptive dampers at this price point, just, yeah, nice to have. So it makes this thing probably feel a lot different in sport mode. So carving up through some of these sections here, I immediately have a good sense of grip, but what I found astounding with the Formentor is that when you sort of go through a corner, you get a lot more confidence, and as you turn in, it turns in harder. It doesn't sort of become a victim of understeer, which is really quite nice. So we're going to go through some tight sections here and sort of show you what that looks like. So we're going to go up, and as you turn in, it just gets really enthusiastic, and it encourages you to push your throttle in, which is great. So yes, we do have 140 kilowatts on board, 320 newton meters of torque, 0 to 107.1 seconds. Yes, it's not the fastest car you can buy for the money, but I actually think the driving dynamics are more important, and power is something you can always add later with a tune, for example. And here, this has got a great driving dynamic. I love the seating position. You have a really long bonnet, so it really feels like you're driving a coupe of sorts, even though you're in a small SUV. You have great visibility out. The steering feels all right. It's obviously not going to be the most communicative, but it is going to be one of the better ones you can buy for a small SUV like this. And just through this corner here, can you believe it? I would never believe myself laughing like that, cornering in a little SUV that's reasonably priced, and that's a lot of fun. This thing corners so well. It's just got this wide front grip that allows you to sort of just tow in, and that all-wheel drive system just carries you the rest of the way through, and it's so much fun. My gosh, yeah, see, look, yeah, power is easy to replace, and all these and yes, you can buy extra floor mats if you need floor mats, but the driving dynamics here, the setup is so addictive, and it's something that's definitely going to be slept on if people don't realize that this is such a great chassis. I really think for an SUV, this is a great setup compared to something like a Tiguan or even like a Skoda. I think this is a great setup. Oh my gosh, I'm having too much fun. Like, this is a genuine reaction. I remember just cornering quickly and I went, whoa, I was surprised about how tighter corners actually feel really nice in this car, and it doesn't feel like too top heavy or it's falling out because it's being pushed away thanks to oversteer. Instead, it's really quite confidence inspiring. As a car you really want to find the twisty roads for if you're going away on a long trip. You don't really want to be on a long road, which is just, I just really didn't expect this from a base model Cupra Formentor. Now, how are the brakes? Well, we're going to brake in an emergency brake setting in 3, 2, 1, and yep, they hold up pretty well. They're all right. They're not massively grippy like you'll find on a VZX, but yep, they do a good enough job. Now, we do have this little toggle shifter down here, which means you're not going to be able to shift manually there, but you can use the paddles up here, which do offer, more control, but they're not the most exciting setup. Like, just shifting gears in this doesn't really feel, I wouldn't really be doing it. I'd probably just be leaving the gearbox in sport. They're not like a snappy setup like we'll find on a Golf R, for example, or even a Golf GTI. I feel like those are tuned a little bit more aggressively differently than this set is, so I don't really mess with the paddles all that much. Now these adaptive dampers, even though they are in their stiffest setting right now, they actually feel pretty comfortable, which is fine. So we can jump into comfort and you just get yourself a more relaxed ride, but unfortunately, yeah, it's just still a little bit busy if you're looking for a plush ride around town. Now mid-range acceleration is so easy thanks to all that torque. It's just, yeah, it's a healthy amount for a small engine like this. So that's something that's going to be quite nice compared to other cars in this category. 320 newton meters of torque in a non-diesel motor is great, especially if a car is of this size. So that's just a major plus point, is the torque figure. Now overall, it's pretty quiet in here. There's not much rattling or anything happening in here. The sound isolation's all right, but there is a bit of tire noise, but that's to be expected. I found the standard speaker system in here as well to be pretty good. I don't think you'd have to upgrade to the Beats audio, which is part of a larger package. So I think you'd be fine with the standard audio in here, which is, yeah, a major plus because you don't have to fork out the extra money. And do you really need the sunroof? I mean, it lets in more light for the rear passengers, but I'm not really noticing a massive difference in here. But it would be nice in summer because it means you can at least open that. And even in comfort mode, you're still getting a pretty fun ride. And I guess that's part of the reason it's got that slightly stiffer setup, is that even though you're driving along in comfort mode, if you do find an exciting bit of road and you don't have time to switch this into S mode using the shifter, if you just pull down that, it goes into sport mode. Yeah, you can just easily just carve through a corner very nicely. And you've got a nice relaxed steering feel as well. You've got all your safety systems, you've got blind spot monitoring, and what's cool is that the blind spot lights are part of the accent lighting that runs up across the dashboard, so they're neatly integrated and they flash orange if someone's in your blind spot. And yeah, overall, really nice package here. And you've also got yourself radar cruise control and also travel assist, which is basically just like, it's got auto lane keep assist as well. And also I really like this digital gauge cluster as well, because if you don't like the look of one look, you've got so many to choose from, which is great, especially if you're someone who gets bored of one setup in your gauge cluster. It really does like to rev out that motor, and at highway speeds like we're traveling at now, it's just, you're not worried about a lack of power. Now I think the Cupra Formentor V is really slept on, because if you like the performance elements of the Volkswagen group cars, like Audi's S cars, Volkswagen's GTI and R products, and you don't really want to stretch to those cars there, I think the Cupra offers the driving experience and also features that those cars get, and also a styling element as well that makes this really exciting, but you don't have to fork out as much money to go and buy those, and instead you can have a lot of it here in the Cupra Formentor. Now thank you for watching this quick review. My name's Cameron. If you want to see more car content, make sure you follow us on TikTok and Instagram using the handle @ProductReviewCars, and make sure to review your own car on productreview.com.au. And I'll see you in the next one.